Marcus and Sienna Chen stood in the marble lobby of the Grand Meridian Hotel, their designer luggage gleaming under crystal chandeliers. After 15 hours of flying from Tokyo, exhaustion clung to them like their wrinkled business clothes. "Welcome to the Grand Meridian. How may I assist you?" The young receptionist, Katie Morrison, smiled professionally. "Reservation for Chen. Presidential suite," Marcus said, sliding his black American Express card across the counter. Katie's fingers flew across her keyboard. "I see it here. Mr. and Mrs. Chen checking in for 3 nights. Let me just verify with management." She picked up the phone, speaking quietly. Marcus noticed her expression shift from professional to uncomfortable. She hung up and forced another smile. "I apologize, but there's been a complication with your reservation." Sienna leaned forward. "What kind of complication? We booked this suite 6 months ago for our anniversary." Before Katie could respond, a portly man in an expensive suit emerged from the back office. Gregory Hammond, hotel manager for 12 years, surveyed the couple with barely concealed disdain. "I'm Mr. Hammond, the hotel manager. I'm afraid there's been an error with your reservation." Marcus's jaw tightened. "What error? We have confirmation emails, payment receipts, and a guaranteed late arrival." Hammond's eyes swept over them, lingering on their skin color with unmistakable judgment. "The presidential suite requires additional verification for guests of your demographic." The lobby fell silent. 3 other guests at the concierge desk turned to watch. Katie's face flushed crimson. "Our demographic." Sienna's voice remained calm, but Marcus felt her hand tighten around his arm. "We have standards to maintain," Hammond continued. "The presidential suite is reserved for guests who can truly afford such accommodations. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at one of our partner properties downtown." Marcus pulled out his phone, showing the confirmation. "We paid $4,700 for 3 nights. The charge cleared 2 weeks ago." Hammond barely glanced at the screen. "Credit cards can be stolen. Identities can be falsified. I'm simply protecting the hotel's interests and our valued guests." A well-dressed white couple approached the desk with their luggage. Hammond's demeanor transformed instantly. "Mr. and Mrs. Patterson, welcome back. Katie, get the Pattersons checked into the presidential suite immediately." Katie's hands trembled over the keyboard. "Sir, that suite is reserved for the Chens." "Not anymore. Process the Pattersons now." Marcus stepped forward, his voice steady despite the rage building inside. "You're giving away our paid reservation to someone else." "I'm allocating hotel resources appropriately," Hammond replied. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have actual guests to attend to." Sienna pulled out her own phone, photographing Hammond's name badge and the reservation screen Katie had left visible. "You might want to reconsider." Hammond's face reddened. "Are you threatening me, security?" 2 security guards emerged from side corridors. Marcus recognized the dynamic immediately. 2 black men being ordered to remove a black couple by a white manager drunk on petty power. The older guard, James Rodriguez, approached cautiously. "Sir, what seems to be the problem?" "These individuals are refusing to leave after being informed their reservation cannot be honored." James glanced at the computer screen, clearly seeing the valid reservation. His eyes met Marcus's with apologetic understanding. "Mr. Hammond, their reservation appears legitimate." "I don't recall asking for your opinion, James. Do your job or find employment elsewhere." The younger guard, Tyler Brooks, shifted uncomfortably. At 24, he'd only worked here 3 months, but he'd already witnessed Hammond's discriminatory behavior twice before. Sienna checked her watch. "It's 11:47 p.m. In 13 minutes it will be midnight and our anniversary will officially begin. I'm giving you 13 minutes to fix this situation." Hammond laughed harshly. "Or what? You'll write a bad review, call the NAACP. I've been in hospitality for 20 years. I know how to handle people like you. People like us. Marcus's voice dropped dangerously low. People who think they can intimidate their way into accommodations they can't afford. This hotel caters to business executives, celebrities, and dignitaries, not to people pretending to be something they're not. Katie finally found her courage. Mr. Hammond, I really think we should honor their reservation. They have valid payment and confirmation. Katie, if you value your employment, you'll process the Pattersons immediately and stop questioning my decisions. The Pattersons stood awkwardly nearby, clearly uncomfortable with the situation unfolding. Actually, Mrs. Patterson said quietly, we can wait if there's a reservation issue. Hammond waved dismissively. Nonsense. You're Platinum Elite members. You deserve our best accommodations. Sienna's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, then smiled slightly. Marcus, our lawyer is 10 minutes away. Hammond's confidence didn't waver. Lawyers, please. This is private property. I have every right to refuse service to anyone for any reason. Except race, Marcus replied, which is exactly what you're doing. I never mentioned race. You're the ones making this about race. I'm simply following hotel policy regarding verification of high-value reservations. James cleared his throat. Sir, I've worked here 8 years. We've never had a verification policy for confirmed reservations. Hammond spun on him. Are you calling me a liar, James? I'm stating facts, sir. The tension in the lobby was suffocating. Other guests had stopped pretending not to watch. Phones were emerging from pockets, recording the confrontation. Tyler pulled out his radio. Should I call the police, Mr. Hammond? Absolutely. Have them remove these trespassers. Sienna photographed everything methodically. Hammond's aggressive posture, the reservation screen, the watching crowd, the security guard's uncomfortable expressions. A businessman in the lobby lounge stood up, approaching the desk. Excuse me, I'm Robert Chen. Did you say your name was Chen? Marcus nodded. Marcus Chen, this is my wife, Sienna. Robert's eyes widened. The Marcus Chen, from Chen and Associates Legal. That's right. Robert turned to Hammond. Do you have any idea who you're dealing with? Chen and Associates is one of the largest civil rights law firms in the country. They specialize in discrimination cases. Hammond's smirk faltered slightly. I don't care if he's Johnny Cochran reincarnated. He's not getting that suite without proper verification. What verification do you need? Sienna asked. We've shown you confirmation, payment, identification. What else could you possibly require? Hammond's mouth opened and closed. He hadn't expected to be challenged this thoroughly. Additional references, employer verification, previous hotel stays. Marcus pulled up his phone. I have references from the Ritz-Carlton Tokyo, the Four Seasons Singapore, and the Peninsula Hong Kong, all from the past month. Would you like me to have their managers call you? The lobby doors opened. A woman in an immaculate navy suit strode in, pulling a small, rolling briefcase. At 52, attorney Diana Foster commanded attention without effort. Her reputation preceded her, 30 years of civil rights litigation with a 94% success rate. Marcus, Sienna. She greeted them warmly before turning to Hammond. I'm Diana Foster, legal counsel for Mr. and Mrs. Chen. I understand there's a problem with their reservation. Hammond's confidence evaporated like morning fog. Diana Foster wasn't just any lawyer. She was the lawyer who'd secured a $12 million settlement against a major hotel chain just 6 months ago. There's no problem, Hammond stammered. Just routine verification procedures. Diana smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Routine. How interesting. Katie, could you tell me how many guests you've processed tonight? Katie glanced nervously at Hammond. 17, ma'am. And how many required additional verification, beyond confirmation and payment? Just these two. Diana pulled out her tablet, already loaded with documentation. "Mr. Hammond, I have here the hotel's official policies and procedures manual. Could you point me to the section regarding verification of confirmed reservations?" Hammond's face had gone from red to pale. "It's an informal policy, management discretion." "Management discretion based on what criteria?" "Silence." "Let me rephrase. At what point did you decide the Chen's reservation required additional verification, before or after you saw them?" "I don't appreciate your implications." Diana's voice remained pleasant, but her words cut like surgical steel. "I'm not implying anything. I'm establishing a timeline for the discrimination lawsuit we'll be filing tomorrow morning." The lobby had gone completely silent. Even the background music seemed to have stopped. Hammond tried to recover. "This is ridiculous. They can have the suite." Katie processed their check-in. "Too late," Diana said. "You've already given their paid reservation to another couple, publicly humiliated them, called security, and made explicitly racist comments about their ability to afford accommodations. We're well beyond simply checking in." She turned to the growing crowd of onlookers. "Did anyone record this interaction?" 5 people raised their phones. "Excellent. Please send copies to this email address." Diana handed out business cards. "You may be called as witnesses." Hammond's legs seemed to be failing him. "Witnesses to what? I didn't do anything illegal." "Didn't you?" Diana opened her tablet. "The Civil Rights Act of 1964, specifically Title II, prohibits discrimination in public accommodations based on race. The Fair Housing Act extends similar protections, and California's Unruh Civil Rights Act provides for minimum damages of $4,000 per violation, plus attorney's fees and punitive damages." She looked up. "But honestly, the legal violations are just the beginning. Let's talk about the publicity." Hammond's face went from pale to green. "By tomorrow morning, this video will be on every social media platform. By afternoon, it'll be on the news. By evening, the Grand Meridian will be synonymous with racism. Your corporate offices will be flooded with calls. Your booking system will crash from cancellations." Diana pulled up her phone, showing a draft press release. "I took the liberty of preparing this on the drive over. Prestigious Grand Meridian Hotel denies black couple reserved suite, gives room to white guests instead. Should I send it to my media contacts?" "Please," Hammond begged. "Let's talk about this reasonably." "Reasonably? Like how you reasonably called my clients trespassers. Like how you reasonably suggested they'd stolen their credit card." James, the security guard, stepped forward. "Ms. Foster, for the record, I witnessed everything. Mr. Hammond specifically stated that guests of their demographic required additional verification. His words, not mine." Tyler nodded. "I can confirm that. I've never seen him require verification for any white guests, no matter the suite level." Hammond spun on them. "You're both fired." "Actually," Diana interjected, "they're both protected whistleblowers. Fire them, and you add retaliation charges to your growing list of legal problems." Katie raised her hand tentatively. "I have the chat logs from tonight. Mr. Hammond messaged me saying to delay the Chen's check-in until he could assess whether they were suitable for the presidential suite. His exact words were, 'Make sure they're not the wrong element.'" Hammond's career wasn't just ending, it was imploding in real time. Diana continued her methodical destruction. "Mr. Hammond, let me paint a picture of your immediate future. Tomorrow, you'll be terminated. By next week, you'll be named personally in our lawsuit. By next month, you'll be giving a deposition where every racist decision you've made will be documented under oath." She paused. "Your employment history will be public record. No hotel, restaurant, or hospitality business will touch you. Your professional reputation will be permanently destroyed." "What do you want?" Hammond's voice cracked. "What do I want?" Diana's eyebrows rose. I want my clients to receive the accommodation they paid for. I want a written apology from you personally and from hotel management. I want a full refund plus compensation for emotional distress. And I want systemic changes to ensure this never happens to anyone else. She pulled out a document. I've prepared a consent decree. You'll implement mandatory anti-discrimination training for all staff. You'll establish an anonymous reporting system for discrimination complaints. You'll conduct quarterly diversity audits. And you'll create a compensation fund for any other guests who have experienced discrimination here. Hammond stared at the document like it was a death sentence. Sign it tonight, and we'll consider settling for $500,000 plus the systemic changes. Refuse, and we'll see you in court where we'll seek $5 million in punitive damages. The hotel's assistant manager, Jennifer Walsh, had emerged from the back office during the confrontation. At 45, she'd been waiting for an opportunity to report Hammond's behavior to corporate. "Ms. Foster," Jennifer said, "I'm the assistant manager. I have documentation of 14 other incidents where Mr. Hammond denied service or provided inferior accommodations to guests of color. I've been reporting them to corporate for 18 months, but nothing's been done." Diana's smile was genuine this time. "Jennifer, would you be willing to testify to that?" "Absolutely." Hammond collapsed into a chair, his face in his hands. His 20-year career was ending in a hotel lobby at midnight, destroyed by his own bigotry. Diana turned to Marcus and Sienna. "What would you like to do?" Sienna checked her watch. "It's 12:03 a.m. Our anniversary has officially begun. I'd like to spend it in the presidential suite we paid for, with a sincere apology, and with the knowledge that we've made this hotel better for everyone who comes after us." Marcus nodded. "And I want Hammond's termination to be public. Not hidden, not quiet. Every hospitality worker should know that discrimination has consequences." Diana looked at Jennifer. "Can you make that happen?" "I can have corporate on the phone in 5 minutes." The next hour was a blur of phone calls, signatures, and corporate panic. The Grand Meridian's regional director arrived at 1:15 a.m., ashen-faced and apologetic. Hammond was escorted from the property by 1:30 a.m., his access badges confiscated, his career in ruins. By 2:00 a.m., Marcus and Sienna were finally settled in the presidential suite. Champagne, courtesy of management, sat chilling on the balcony overlooking the city. "Happy anniversary," Marcus said, pulling his wife close. "Happy anniversary," Sienna replied, "though this wasn't quite the romantic evening I'd planned. We made a difference tonight. That's worth more than romance." She smiled. "Who says we can't have both?" The next morning, the story broke nationally. Hammond's termination was announced in a press release that didn't hide behind corporate speak. "The Grand Meridian Hotel has terminated manager Gregory Hammond for discriminatory conduct that violated our values and civil rights law." The video of the confrontation went viral. 2.3 million views in 24 hours. Comments flooded in from people sharing their own stories of hotel discrimination. But the real change was happening behind the scenes. The Grand Meridian's parent company announced a complete overhaul of their discrimination policies. Anonymous reporting systems, mandatory training, diversity audits, everything Diana had demanded in her consent decree. 3 weeks later, Diana called with an update. "The settlement is finalized. $500,000 plus all the systemic changes. But here's the interesting part. 7 other hotel chains have contacted me asking for consultation on their discrimination policies. Your case is reshaping the entire industry." Marcus sat in his law office, reviewing the settlement documents. His firm specialized in civil rights cases, but this one felt personal in a way others didn't. "We should create a foundation," he said to Sienna that evening. use the settlement money to fund legal representation for people who face discrimination but can't afford attorneys. Sienna, a venture capitalist who'd made her fortune investing in minority-owned businesses, nodded. I like that. The Chen Foundation for Civil Rights. We can fund legal aid, education programs, and advocacy work. 6 months later, the Chen Foundation had funded legal representation for 47 discrimination cases. Their success rate was 89%, with settlements totaling $3.2 million. The Grand Meridian had transformed. Under Jennifer Walsh's leadership as the new general manager, the hotel became known for its inclusive excellence. Employee satisfaction scores jumped from 3.4 to 4.6 out of 5. Guest reviews consistently praised the welcoming atmosphere. Gregory Hammond had moved to a small town in Nevada, working as a night clerk at a budget motel. His LinkedIn profile listed no employment history after the Grand Meridian. The viral video had made him unemployable in hospitality, a cautionary tale shared in hotel management programs nationwide. Katie Morrison had been promoted to front desk supervisor, her courage in speaking up rewarded with responsibility and a $12,000 raise. She'd implemented a peer support system where employees could report concerns without fear of retaliation. James Rodriguez became head of security, developing training programs that emphasized dignity and respect for all guests. His protocols were adopted by 23 other hotels in the chain. Tyler Brooks was studying hospitality management at night school, sponsored by the Grand Meridian's new diversity scholarship program. He wanted to become a hotel manager who created inclusive environments. Diana Foster's civil rights practice had expanded, handling 89 discrimination cases in 6 months. Her success in the Chen case had made her the go-to attorney for hospitality discrimination lawsuits. 1 year after the incident, Marcus and Sienna returned to the Grand Meridian for their anniversary. Jennifer Walsh personally greeted them in the lobby. "Welcome back, Mr. and Mrs. Chen. Your presidential suite is ready." The lobby looked different. Diverse faces staffed every position. Artwork celebrated multicultural themes. A plaque near the entrance read, "The Grand Meridian welcomes all guests with dignity, respect, and excellence." That evening, as they stood on their balcony overlooking the city, Sienna reflected on the journey. "A year ago, we were humiliated in that lobby. Tonight, we're celebrating in a hotel that's become a model for inclusive hospitality." Marcus pulled her close. "Change isn't easy, but it's always worth fighting for." Their story became a case study in business schools, examining how discrimination lawsuits could drive positive organizational change. The Grand Meridian's transformation was analyzed in Harvard Business Review, highlighting how inclusive practices improved both ethics and profitability. The hotel's revenue had increased 23% year-over-year, driven by positive publicity and a reputation for welcoming all guests. Corporate clients specifically chose the Grand Meridian for conferences, citing their commitment to diversity. But the most meaningful impact was in the individual stories. A Latino family who'd been denied service at another hotel found welcoming accommodation at the Grand Meridian. An elderly black couple celebrating their 50th anniversary were treated like royalty. A transgender guest was addressed by their correct pronouns without question. These weren't just policy changes. They were cultural transformations that rippled through the entire organization. The Chen Foundation continued growing, funding legal representation for 200 discrimination cases in its first 2 years. Their work expanded beyond hotels to restaurants, retail stores, and other public accommodations. Diana Foster spoke at the Foundation's annual gala, addressing 500 civil rights advocates and legal professionals. The Chen case reminds us that individual courage can create systemic change. Marcus and Sienna could have walked away, found another hotel, avoided the confrontation. Instead, they stood their ground and transformed an entire industry. The applause was thunderous. Gregory Hammond watched the gala coverage on a small TV in his studio apartment. The contrast between his current circumstances and his former authority was stark. He'd lost his career, his reputation, and his sense of superiority, all in one night. Some might say justice was served. Others might argue the punishment exceeded the crime. But the real question was whether he'd learned anything from the experience. In a rare interview with a local journalist, Hammond reflected, "I thought I was protecting the hotel's standards. I didn't realize I was enforcing my own prejudices. That night cost me everything, but it taught me something I should have learned decades ago. Dignity isn't determined by skin color." Whether his remorse was genuine or performative remained debatable. But his story served as a warning to others in positions of power. Discrimination has consequences, personal, professional, and permanent. The Grand Meridian's transformation continued. By year 3, the hotel had achieved 40% minority representation in management, the highest in their corporate chain. Employee retention rates reached 92%, saving $1.4 million annually in recruitment and training costs. Guest satisfaction scores consistently topped company rankings. The presidential suite, once a symbol of exclusion, became a symbol of inclusive excellence, regularly booked by diverse guests who felt genuinely welcomed. Marcus and Sienna's anniversary tradition continued. Each year, they returned to the Grand Meridian, not just to celebrate their marriage, but to witness the ongoing impact of their courage. On their 5th anniversary return, Jennifer Walsh had a surprise waiting. The hotel had established the Chen Suite, a newly renovated accommodation dedicated to celebrating diversity and inclusion. Proceeds from bookings funded scholarships for minority students pursuing hospitality careers. "You changed this hotel," Jennifer said during the dedication ceremony. "But more importantly, you changed how we think about hospitality itself. True luxury isn't about marble lobbies and crystal chandeliers. It's about making every guest feel valued, respected, and welcome." The ceremony was attended by 50 employees whose careers had been transformed by the hotel's new inclusive culture. Their stories represented the real victory, not the lawsuit settlement, but the human impact of systemic change. As Marcus and Sienna stood before the plaque dedicating the Chen Suite, they reflected on the journey from humiliation to transformation. 5 years ago, we were denied a room because of our skin color, Sienna said. Tonight, we're celebrating a hotel that's become a beacon of inclusive excellence. That's the power of refusing to accept discrimination. Their story proved that justice isn't just about punishment. True justice creates systems that prevent harm from happening again. It transforms institutions, not just individuals. It builds a world where dignity is non-negotiable and respect is universal. The Grand Meridian Hotel stood as living proof that change is possible when courage meets accountability, when individuals refuse to accept injustice, and when organizations commit to meaningful transformation. Have you experienced discrimination in hotels or other public accommodations? Your story matters. Your voice creates change. Share your experience and join the movement demanding dignity and respect for all.